Chad here with Kinetics for another at-home or travel workout. So we'll go through our prep, our sweat, and our breathe portion today. Keep in mind there are ranges in terms of the number of sets and rounds and reps that you can perform. That way you can adjust this a little bit to make it fit your time constraints as well as your fitness abilities. So let's go ahead and get started, and we'll take a look at everything we have for today. Our prep section, 3 to 4 sets of 1 minute of a multi-direction bear crawl, 12 to 16 alternating dead bugs, 1 minute of a glute bridge, and then lastly 12 to 16 quadruped position shoulder taps. So let's take a look at each of these things. For our multi-direction bear crawl, given the amount of space that you have available either at home or on the road, you're going to travel forward, laterally, diagonally, backward, all in that bear crawl position. So we're getting down onto hands and feet, stepping in opposition, and moving around the space that I have available. Okay, changing that movement pattern up, like I said, forward, backward, side to side, diagonal, doing some little circles or figure eights. Okay, have some fun with it. But you have 1 minute there. After we're done, we have 12 to 16 reps of alternating dead bugs. So as I get down on the floor, I'm going to make sure that I brace through my belly. I'm pressing my low back down into the floor the entire time during this movement. Arms straight up in the air, thighs straight up. And from here, I'm going to reach with opposite arm and opposite leg. Nice and smooth and controlled, staying braced the entire time. And notice I'm not moving that other arm or leg that's supposed to just be stationary. So one arm and one leg move, the other two remain stationary in that start position the entire time. I'm flexed down through my core, my abs, and I'm pressing. I should feel pressure with my low back pushing into the floor. You have 12 to 16 total reps there. After that, we have a 1 minute glute bridge. For that glute bridge, I like to peel my toes up off the floor just to get a little bit more emphasis on driving the heel. Laying on my back, I'm going to lift those toes slightly, drive my hips up, and I also like to throw in this elbow drive down into the ground. Okay, it allows me to get a little bit more of that posterior chain. Okay, so my upper back included in my glutes and my hamstrings in that isometric hold. So again, kind of like you're trying to pull your elbows down through the floor in those positions, okay, in that glute bridge. And we're driving the hips up. 1 minute hold glute bridge. After that, we have 12 to 16 reps of a quadruped shoulder tap. So we'll go back to that quadruped position, just like in the bear crawl. This time we're stationary, and we're reaching up and touching that opposite shoulder with control. So it should look like this. Okay, all the while trying to minimize any sort of shift or rotation that you have, and we're not sticking our butt way up in the air. We want to create that nice tabletop position from our shoulders to our hips and maintain it for the entire set. 12 to 16 reps there, and then you'll cycle back to that 1 minute of a multi-direction bear crawl. 3 to 4 sets, and you'll be done with your prep work, and we'll move on to the sweat piece. Today's sweat piece, 3 to 5 rounds. You're going to be doing timed work here. So 1 minute of bear hug squats, a minute 30 of bear hug RDLs, and then lastly 2 minutes of a bear hug carry or march, depending on how much space you have available. The goal here is that you are holding on to your element for the entire 4.5 minutes of work. Okay, so choose that load appropriately. Okay, if you don't have anything available that's kind of moderate that you can hold on to for that long, you only have something that's pretty heavy, by all means, set it down in between movements. If you have not yet gotten to a point with your fitness where you can sustain that and hold on to those movements and string them all together, break it up, make it your own. But the challenge here is if you can move well and continue to hold that element, do so for all 3 movements. Rest in between rounds. Cool? So let's take a look at what we're doing. First thing we have is 1 minute of a bear hug squat. I have a sandbag here with me. You can use a med ball. You can do a homemade, like a backpack with some books in it. I recommend cramming some towels or t-shirts or something in there to keep it from shifting and to remove some of those hard corners and edges from jabbing you while you're doing this. But you have 1 minute with that element, whatever it is you're using, up at your chest, and from here, I'm squatting. Now, based on how heavy or light that element is, that should dictate volume a little bit. If it's pretty heavy, you might only get, 8 to 10 reps in that minute. If it's lighter, you might get more like 15 to 18, okay? Whatever you go through that first round, I want your goal to be to keep it sustainable for the second and third, and if you carry on to a fourth and fifth. Okay, so if you got 16 reps the first time in your squats, your goal should be right around 16 that second and third round as well. As soon as we're done with those squats, we'll transition immediately into a minute 30 of bear hug RDLs. Now this sandbag's a little bit wide, so I'm actually gonna shift my position as far as how I'm holding it so I can get into a good hinge position. Otherwise, the bag actually blocks me from being able to hinge my hips. So I'll show you what I mean. I finish my squats, and from here, I'm just gonna swing that bag up so it's horizontal, and now I'm hinging. So nice, solid hinge position, back is flat, slight bend at the knees, extend the hip, squeeze the butt at the end. As soon as I finish a minute 30 there, I can continue to hold in this position. If I want, I can bring it back to that bear hug, and now I have a carry. So I'm walking with whatever space I have available, okay, for 2 minutes. Staying braced through my belly, keeping that torso upright, okay, to the best of my ability. In between your rounds, rest. Okay, rest is needed. If you cannot hold on for that entire duration, set it down and break it up and take a brief rest between each movement. The challenge is to stay connected the entire time, but don't do that just in order to meet that challenge and then sacrifice form and the way you're moving and kind of hurt yourself in the process. Cool? After we're done with that, 3 to 5 rounds, our breathe portion for today. Don't skip this. Spend the time. Okay, give yourself at least 5 minutes. If you can extend it to 10 or 15 and incorporate some mindfulness or meditation, we definitely encourage you to do that. Okay, today's position is a child's pose, so click on the link in SugarWOD. You can take a look at what that is if you're not familiar. Okay, but getting into that position, deep diaphragmatic breathing while you hold that child's pose for at least 5 minutes with your eyes closed. Enjoy your workout, everyone, and we'll see you next time.